And welcome back, folks, for another review recap of Bel-Air, episode 7, Payback's a Bitch. First off, I want to say, before we get into tonight's episode, if you had not heard about the monumental news that is coming out of episode 9, which we'll be there to talk about, obviously, I highly suggest that you don't look for the news. It is major news in terms of Bel-Air. But I will say this, that the news in terms of episode 9 greatly opens up the optimism for a season 2 unlike no other. So I'm just gonna say, if you just want to wait and watch the episode when it airs and then receive the news in that fashion, I would go that route. But if you can't help yourself and you need to go check out the news, there's some major news that has come out about Bel-Air. But anyway, we're talking episode 7 tonight. Hopefully, if you haven't checked out our previous reviews, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then jump in the comments. Let us know your favorite moment of tonight's episode, because we got a lot of conversations. Yeah, some backfiring going on here, some hooking up, some consequences, ultimately payback. So I think, and we usually don't do this, but I think we should start with the end of the episodes, because I think this is where we might spend the most time with. And this is the conclusion of the party that was put together by Will in order to drive, shall we say, Carlton's popularity back up in the school. But, and we'll come back to this obviously, but after confronting Connor about all of his BS, Connor does the typical white boy thing and calls the cops. And it was, I'm pretty sure all of us predicted that. And that's easy to talk about. But let's talk about the ramifications of the cops being there, because this is where I think we're gonna have a lot of opinions and stuff on. So cop shows up. Carlton realizes that he's black. I think at this moment is when he realizes that he's black, because it's his house. And he's being and obviously he's being profiled. He's on his knees, the only person on his knees. It is his house, so he's being profiled. He's getting the whole thing. And to me, I'll start off by saying, because I want to give you a little bit of input too, because I got a bunch of takes from this. I think this is crazy, because I think, as crazy as this sound, because I wish this on nobody, especially somebody black, I wish this on nobody, but him being in that situation, I think finally is going to make him see eye to eye with Will in terms of what he came from. And that's a little bit of it's a thing for them, because to Carlton, to me, it felt like he was like, oh, you left Philly because you did something with a gun, so now you're here as an opportunist, and now you're in my lane and you're reaping my benefits and whatnot. And that's a very stingy but maybe surreal thing to him, because he has obviously been under the wrong rock for the last X amount of years. But I think this moment, and we'll talk about his other love interest of the night, who also put some things into perspective. Yeah, I think this moment is when, if everything else didn't happen, I think this is the moment where he's going to say, like, damn, bro, I know what you've been saying, I know what you've been feeling, like. And I couldn't even imagine what was in Philly to that degree, and so on. So I think this is a connecting factor as to them growing that bond together. This point, just this point, because there's other parts to this, obviously.
Yeah, some dynamics.
Yeah, but this point right here, I think when he was down there on his knees and his hands behind his back, I think he was thinking, like, damn, this is what it feels to be black, but also this is what my cousin Will has been essentially PTSD from the entire time, so we'll see how that plays out. But I give it to you, because I definitely got like 50 more things I could say, but I wanted to get in it first. So what do you make of this scene, Carlton?
It was, that was a very interesting take, because I didn't even think about the correlation between that happening and the moment of clarity where Carlton realizes, like, yo, this is what Will is talking about. When I saw them showing up, I thought Will was about to get saved, because he's going upstairs. You could already see Carlton putting two and two together when he was downstairs. And as he starts to approach upstairs, the you see the lights flash, and then it's like, oh, he has to stop and turn around. So I was like, oh, Will got out. All they got to do is hurry up, get dressed, and he's good money. And then when he goes to tell the cops, yo, this is my spot, it gets worse. And then Lisa's upstairs the whole time saying, no, I can help, I can help. And I'm looking at it like, nah, it's definitely not the move. And of course, as she goes downstairs, it's the confirmation. And you can see like Carlton didn't even have any words, like just his look, the way he was looking at him kind of said everything, you know. And Will's face kind of said everything. Everyone kind of had that look, like, you know what I mean? So I do think that it's interesting, the point you make, where now the bond kind of comes together more with Carlton having that experience. But then on the flip side, it's like, this is what y'all was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So listen, guys, like I said, I got more on this. So right, you're right. This finally, after they've been avoiding the truth the entire time, they've finally been exposed, and everybody comes down in the eye of guilt. But like you said, while Carlton's being potentially arrested, Will, who threw a party for Carlton, disappears with Carlton's girl. And when Carlton felt like he got a win, finally, I mean, he finally got his pep in his step. He couldn't even celebrate with his cousin. Instead, he celebrates with the cops. But listen, the issue here now is that because she told her dad, this now backfires for the whole Banks family.
Yep.
Because he's somehow going to leverage this in terms of, oh, this is what you allow in your establishment. Absolutely. This is what you're doing. So I like that Lisa stepped up, because at the end of the day, they're all safe. I'm just got to bring the realistic fact into it. They're all safe. Nothing crazy happened, because it is within. And for Will, I will say, like, in terms of his PTSD, he wasn't so triggered. Lisa kind of helped him out, unless he was just pussy whipped that quick and he just didn't care about where he came from. But we'll take it for what it is. But I think that now we look at it that a party that was kind of going under the radar, that was actually going to be a successful house party that their parents didn't know about, now potentially creates major backlash for everybody. The family, absolutely. Uncle Phil and his campaign. Let's not talk about Hillary not being there when she was supposed to, which ultimately could have got Carlton in way more trouble.
Yeah.
And then there's this other thing too, that Lisa just wanted to know the truth while Will was there. And
yeah,
of course Carlton's gonna bring it up now.
Of course.
Now everybody's burnt in the situation, because from the lying and the deceit, like a lot of things are going to happen here, and that's an amazing way to end this episode, because man, we can't wait to see Uncle Phil, who already in the doghouse, really got something he's going to walk into. And we know where Jeffrey was at. He was taking Ashley and them somewhere. So, but he probably already knew. He probably already had intel about what was going on at the house and whatnot. But at the end of the day, Lisa saved the day, and on to next episode. But let's rewind it back, folks. Let's go back to the top of the episode, because like I said, this is a wild one. And we do have to discuss where we kind of left things off in terms of last episode, where there's two things we kind of didn't give too much clarity to, but we obviously just talked about. One is that you felt that Lisa and Will and Carlton kind of made peace with the idea that the two of them worked together, but obviously not. And we see that politics come into play, where the dads are just like, I know y'all kind of got a little vibe going on here, but we need y'all to separate, because this is problematic for the election. This could be used as collateral in some way. And yes, the parents were right. As much as we disagree with not letting love be love, the parents was right, because it actually happened. Kids do kids things. You gotta expect that.
Yeah.
But while that's the thing, we got to talk about Miss Hillary Banks, who has picked up a new name, Thirsty Chef.
Thirsty Chef.
So
yeah, and I took a couple notes on that. So Kyla.
Oh, you was looking it up? You was looking for the video, huh? He's like, where that Thirsty Chef at?
Like, just the way the whole situation jumped off. So the last episode, you see at the tail end where she's filming it. So in my mind, I guess it didn't really occur. I didn't really think about the equipment she was using, I guess belongs to the house. It wasn't her camera. So that was mistake number one. And then the fact that the footage goes directly to the cloud afterward means now whoever has access to the cloud has access to your footage,
Yeah.
which you see play out. So I thought it was kind of crazy how he just put that out there. And then she was like, he remixed it in this and this and that and the third and da 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 da. But then when she goes to confront him about it, the whole way that plays out with Jazz was like, wow, I didn't see that. That went left. I didn't see that coming that way.
I kind of did, but I will say that I do not ever want to get into a discussion about ethics in social media because I feel in a way so I feel very set in my thoughts about certain things, and I hear other people's thoughts about it another way, and so this completely just ripped me apart in terms of what was happening in this episode. I'm sorry, I'm kind of siding with Jazzy Jeff on this, but like I understand that like these type of things in this era, and this is how we kind of expose our age here, is like these type of things do breed some type of, you know, business moves or propositions and opportunities. And while this wasn't, and they did talk about how going viral works essentially, where it typically ain't something that you designed to go viral. I mean, Kylo clearly has the potential to do so, but she didn't do it to go viral, even though that was his requirement. She did it because she had to do it. And even it wasn't because of how she shot it and how it was edited and done. It's just how viral things happen, like, you know, almost like anomalies to some extent. But like, yes, there's folks that know how to work the algorithm and play on edits, and thus a lot of good commentary came from out of all of this, you know, in terms of being expressive about sexuality, about how Black women and how the societal standard or how society slanders are with Black women and sexuality. Like there is a lot within that I need to go back and listen to, because there's so many quotable things, good arguments on both sides. But I just simply say that I come into this argument like Jazzy Jeff, where it's just like, yo, you had ethics, you had morals, you know, you came into it this way, and I bossed up for you. And the moment somebody threw a dollar to you, you ended up saying, "Oh, the money, the money, 15K a post, cool." So you sold your soul for the business, and you gave up your own dignity for the money. You told me to come do this thing for you, but as soon as he, you know, and I don't think Kylo's wrong, because he very much said this is the terms of my contract of being in my place, and this is how it works. And yes, you know, he said like it wasn't my idea to use the footage in that way, but that's also in the fine print. Like, so as much as he kind of like a dick, and as much as I didn't like him, I was like, good, he got her in every situation, and then presented her in good business
with it. Exactly. And it's you can't get mad at his character, because he even said it in the dialogue. He's like, you know, I'm the type of dude, I stir things up, I'm the rebel, you know what I mean, that's how I roll. I thought it was the classic deal with the devil scenario. It's just the way that they did this setup was so brilliant, because I didn't see it coming. It was out of left field. Like, yeah, all right, you're mad, but by the way, Victoria's Secret wants to meet you. And it's like, all right, well, hold up. And then I think the two people coming in, whether he paid them or not, I don't know. He was like, yeah, I don't know. And they just
very questionable.
But I think that played heavily into it, because it was like she got to see real-time reaction to her post. And it's like, well, dag, if they feel like that, and he's saying I got 2,000 likes, and it's probably a bunch of other people that feel like that, and it was a man and a woman, so she kind of got both perspectives at the same time, and they both were saying the same thing. Exactly. So it was like, all right, hold on. But I agree with you. I feel Jazz, because Jazz can see it, you know, from the outside. Like, you don't even see how they walked you into that. You ain't peeped that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, at the same time, I can't really be mad at Hillary, because she's like, yo, 15 bands, not 1,500, 15 bands
a post
per post, dog. 4 posts, and you're not going to see me till next year. Off top, you're going to get 4 or 5, and I'm gone, dog. 15 bands.
Yeah. Listen, folks, I want to know y'all take. Whose side are you on this one? Kylo? And presenting, using her content and presenting her with opportunities? Are you a Jazzy Jeff in terms of saying, like, you came in here with this mindset, you need to be held accountable for that? Or are you with Hillary here and being flexible for whatever opportunity may come? I mean, it is what it is. I want to know everybody's commentary on that one. And I will say, you know, she made a good stance. This is why, like, it's hard for me to agree with her, because I'm pro-black and I'm sorry. And I love the idea of them saying that she's unapologetically black and doing what she did. But when you say you're doing it for the culture, that means that that's always your narrative. You can do one thing, and then the next time you get some money, then you just stir off the line with that. And that's how I felt with that, where she was just like, I did this for this reason, and it's for her proper representation and her branding. And as soon as somebody say something, you just like, oh well. Yeah.
And she had made that point earlier where she was saying, oh, well, we're overly we're overly sexualized already, so I'm not trying to go that route. So it's like, that's why I say, and it was I can't remember what episode it was, but that same narrative or that same picture was painted with it might have been Hillary, but it was the same thing, the whole deal with the devil, having your original intention,
it was
stepping into the the lion's den.
Yeah, it's one of the couple of first episodes where they were trying to say that her cooking wasn't to her and to their, they wanted her to change her style and to be more pleasing to more people. She's like, nah.
Exactly.
And also, I mean, I gotta say, Aunt Viv was right. You know, you gotta rescue yourself, but like, I don't know if this was that.
That was the way. Exactly. Mind you, Uncle Phil don't know yet. So
yeah, and when she watched that video, I mean, that's exactly what, all of our, we knew was going to happen. We knew that video was going to get out at some point, and Aunt Viv was definitely like, oh, okay, so. But yeah, folks, let us know your thoughts on that, because that is a big chunk of what happened in this episode, just the whole thing with Hillary. And I got to say, and I think I can speak for both of us here, we are excited. We've been waiting for this Hillary and Jazzy Jeff thing to go down. When they was on the couch, that was a vibe. I like that whole them making out and then he bossing up for her. I like that. And I also feel like they still are building up a friendship. But hey, if you didn't notice it at this point in the episode, you're going to notice it at some point in this episode that everybody's holding everybody accountable, and that is what it truly means to be a friend.
Yes, that exchange between Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil was like, wow. And it was that accountability on both sides and keeping it 100. Like, yo, I needed you 15 years ago. That was the bombshell. But then he was like, you never believed in yourself to go anyway. You know what I mean? Even if I would have did that, like, you would have found a reason to stop. So it was like bombshells on both sides. It was crazy.
That is rough, bro. That's a rough statement to make.
It is, but I like how they did it in love. It wasn't said in a resentful way. It wasn't presented in a way of like vindictiveness or trying to one up you. Like, it was like, I'm keeping it 100. This is what it is. But I'd say that to you in love.
I'm a little indifferent about that, because I feel like the tone was a little bit overbearing and kind of belittling her feelings about this. She's been humble for 15 years, and she says, I put everything to the side for you. You just, and let's be very clear, for you, not for us. And the reason I think she's fair in having that stance is because, let's just go back to earlier in the episode when he said, my funds, not our funds. Yeah. So you understand that, like, he is this, I thought I did everything for you to just, be a housewife or a house mom, while I make all the money. I thought I was making it easy for yourself. Sure. I say it all the time. Money is a great thing to make things happen in the world, but there's still this very huge part of everything. That's humanity. And the moment, as I said in the last 2 episodes, the moment that Michael Ealy Reid comes in and starts to make her feel alive, like a person, like an artist, being heard, being seen, it was a wrap. There was nothing Uncle Phil could say was going to say that, because every single thing about him was tactical. It wasn't emotional. Everything was tactical. When you can't even figure out how to get back on your wife's side, that you have to ask G, we got to do this and do that, and I need you to do some reconnaissance
follow
on
him
this guy.
You're
like, are you going to war? or you're dealing with your
It's
wife, bro.
like, right, and it's like the more you try to do to reel her in, the more you're doing to push her away. So
Yeah,
I like the way that they illustrated that. And then even and how she took her own advice, where at the end of them talking, like when they was laying down, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to rescue myself." And then
man, love it.
it cuts right back to the scene and she's back at the bar with Reed.
Love it. I love it. Two things to make here. Michael Ealy, and as much as you've been talking about breaking television stereotypes,
Mhm.
I think Michael Ealy may be breaking his own stereotype in the roles he takes. He may not actually be the creeper guy. He may actually sincerely be a business friend. And that will be a thing. I swear to God, by the end of episode 10, if he does not try anything on her in a way, because again, I think because this show is really open, we don't know enough about,
the situation. Yeah.
yes, because he says I'm a single guy that likes to be with women and artists and stuff like that. Doesn't mean that he's attracted to them. It doesn't mean that he wants them. He just likes the dynamics of being around with women and talking about art. Her art speaks to him. He speaks back to her. That could be a business relationship there. And I know everybody want to hit the old social norms that guys and girls can't be friends, but I hope we're way past that now, right?
At the very least, if it comes down to business, if that's a true statement, then so be it. But at the very least, if it comes to a bag, figure it out.
Yeah. Big facts. And again, I just think like if you're gonna go this whole Michael Ealy route again, come on, bro, switch up the casting a little bit. Like for real, give us a little something different, bro. You're not gonna go out like that again. But I mean, a question to the audience here. Now, do you like what Uncle Phil talking about? He fully trusts her. When G mentioned that, and then he mentions that, which I'm gonna just keep it 100 with you all. He don't trust her. G fed her that line. He took that thought and went back and reapplied it to the conversation. He doesn't even know how to interact with his own lady. That's the problem. Because when you have to get advice from somebody else and you have to literally use that same dialogue to speak to your own woman that you've been with for all these years, bro, that means it's a problem. Yeah. So do y'all think he truly trusts her? Or are you on my side where he's just out here selling dreams? Dude is he's lost in the sauce right now. Period. And the other question is, do you think by him showing up was a matter of imposing on her time? Or do you think he was just trying to make things right?
Yeah, I would say it was a little of both, because if it was about him just showing up, he could have chosen another way to do it. But the fact that he popped up right in the middle, like soon as she got comfortable, oh, well, so he's like, I'm right on time. And you just see her face just twist up like, dog, really?
My man go to LA to San Diego to, whew, man.
She was tight. But then like I thought it was going well because he kind of made up for it when they were at the bar and he's spinning her around and everything. So I'm like, oh, he's good money. And then they go right back to a bombshell moment. And it was like, Uncle Phil's done.
Yeah, my man, he walked himself
out. It's not gonna make it.
Yeah, not a good outing for him, man. They need to bring in another pitcher at this point because he's just not good right now on the mound. Funny thing is though, and I'll say it, and listen, don't shoot the messenger here, but guys, they step up when they feel intimidated, and I'm telling you that everything he did was nothing emotionally responsive. And yes, it can be at times, but for me, all this was tactical.
It was tactics. Yeah,
all of it. He's so, and the thing is, because he's so politically sound in mind, everything is about chess. Like when you can't even sympathize with Will, who is from another state that found a love interest,
right?
And the first thing you want to do is pry that apart from him,
right? But I understand it, and you know what I love about the show, how it illustrates like all the full spectrum of everything. Like as much as we could say that, oh, Uncle Phil, he likes Lisa and you have to look at the overall scenario, the greater good. At the end of the day, this is the mission that has to be accomplished. I understand you feel how you feel about her, but that's gonna crush everything. It's gonna crumble everything. I can't. I mean, like I can't take that L. I can't afford that liability. even
For
if it,
sure. It's an absolute
yeah,
selfish statement. I get it. But I mean, like, I think there was better ways to go about that than to say, like, oh, I see you with Lisa. Oh, okay, that's cool. I got a vibe. Okay, cool. Don't be with her.
don't do
Because I got some shit going down. Like above your pay grade. Don't be with her. Like, fuck. I'm gonna get G to take both of y'all out if y'all fucking this up for me. Fuck that. Shit's so wild, bro. Shit's so wild. My man, I would be curious to know who is the most hated character on Bel-Air right now. Because I don't think Carlton's still on top of that list. Connor could be up there, but I think people are so used to characters like Connor, just like, yeah, I'm not gonna rank him high as hey, we already know what that is, you know. So, but yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts about Aunt Viv and Mr. Philip Banks coming down to San Diego because he had to make sure that, you know, she couldn't be on herself. Like, bro's wild. Couldn't even call her. Just showed up, which is also another big red flag to me. Like, bro, if you wanted to support, you could have just called and said, hey, babe, I'm coming. I'm just wanted to just be there for you. She would have loved it. She would have loved it.
I think in the back of his mind, Uncle Phil's mind, he knew that was a scene that she didn't want him at anyway. Like, I feel like even if he would have showed up on a more respectful or calm tip, she still would have been, what are you doing here? It would have been something, you know, because when they were when he had pulled her away to talk to her, she's like, well, what about the meetings? What about this? And what about that? And it was like she was looking for every reason for him not to be there.
And I don't agree. I think she literally was just fed so much of that. She's like, well, why are you saying you got all these things to do, but all of a sudden you're free? I got questions. I literally got questions. You literally said you can't do this, you got this, blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden they're gone. So I got questions. I definitely got questions, but at the end of the day, she just wants to be heard. He never asked, and she just wants to be felt right. And instead, you know, he did what he did. So we'll move on to our next thing and let you all jump in the comments. Let us know your more takes on that. So do we go to this whole thing with Carlton now? I think that's the other big part of this episode is Carlton. He's been off his game for a lot of reasons. One, I think it's good that we clear up that Carlton is snorting Xanax and anxiety pills. So Uncle Phil knows about half of that, and it's not coke. So that's, I think, provides a little bit of context, because I thought for a moment we may end up getting into some other shit, you know? You know, let's not go that route.
Before you make that point, bro, real quick, I wanted to make this point. I ran into some Fresh Prince lore and just had some more clarity. So the character Trey, I was always wondering about how or why that character came about. The whole time, there's an episode where Don Cheadle guest starred.
Yeah, everybody's been in the comments going crazy about that. Yeah,
dog, I just randomly seen that, like, okay, so that connection was there. Yeah, I mean, it cleared up so much for me.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I forgot about it, so it is what it is. But I will say this, that people are just like, oh my god, I love the casting for it. I actually hate it because I don't want anybody to look like anybody from the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And the fact that Trey does kind of give me Don Cheadle vibes. I feel you. I definitely feel you. But I definitely wish that they just keep this to be as uniquely casted as possible. Let's keep that route. I don't want the similarities, because that's when the folks on the internet start going about like all these different things. And then you devalue the work that these regulars are doing constantly, and they're doing a fantastic job.
And it may have been a nod just because it was that one episode. Like, Trey wasn't ever a mainstay character, so maybe it's like, all right, a nod. Don Cheadle played the role that episode. We'll get, you know, I don't know if that thought process went into it, but it's like, if they were gonna, you know, have a nod to the older series, I think that's the way to do it off of like a particular episode, as opposed to something that's constant that will draw those comparisons.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, for sure. But the last other thing too is with before we get to that is I mean, we talked about Beulah Elizabeth Wilkes just wanting the truth from Will, as she spoke her truth, but Will lied to her. But as I said, that's going to come back to backfire when they have a conversation. But just going back to Carlton, Carlton's been off his game, both on the field and just everything. And you know, this is where he goes after Connor, who's been just saying racist stuff all season, and Carlton does retaliate by breaking his wrist. And you know, by him experiencing racism, by him feeling portrayed by his teammates, for him now feeling like an outsider, how Will has been feeling since he stepped into it. This is the whole idea to throw a party to kind of flip the momentum in terms of it. At the party, Will sets him up with a girl, Aisha, who pretty much keeps it 100 about the tone of Carlton, which everybody's been saying is that he's a sellout. And that's in terms of the people he hangs with, the sports, all that other stuff. I do not agree with what his interests are making him a sellout. I like the idea that people black can do everything. I hate the idea that black people can't be race car drivers. Well, that's totally wrong, because one of the best race car drivers is black. So let's just stop that all the way. But I do think in terms of his crowd, that is problematic. And I also will go as far as saying, just because you black doesn't mean that you have to partake in, like, you know, black society. You should be aware to it. And you should have your ears to it. You should be aware of it, and you shouldn't be against it. But like the whole idea of him saying like, oh, you don't do this and you should at least doing that, half of that statement I agree with. Yes, you should be open to it, but that you don't, I don't think that you should have to. But nonetheless, like I said, he was held accountable for his actions. Great. Then he comes back and holds this dude Connor accountable later on in the episode. So a good episode in terms of seeing his character development for Carlton, which has truly been a roller coaster this season.
It has, and I agree with you with him. You know, whatever he's into doesn't necessarily qualify or disqualify his blackness. I think it was very real, though. Again, going back to the cinematography presentation of it, that conversation, that's probably what that would sound like amongst two people in that scenario. Like in real life, it would be right along those lines. So I thought they did a good job of illustrating that. And I think it illustrates, I guess, overall the tribal issue, where you're part of the tribe, but at the same time you're a stranger to the tribe because you're not a part of the tribal things that the tribe typically does. You like the things that the other tribe does, and then that's now creating issues, you know, for you being within the tribe. So
absolutely. I mean, we both came up in an era where like an anime being black was not a thing.
It was, and you know what the thing is, it was crazy about that. Like, I can't say I got teased a whole lot, but people did have their comments. But it never bothered me, dog, because it was
not at all. We still here with it,
dog. I rock with it. Like my counter would always be like, dog, what are you watching? You know, everybody wants to watch the game. I watch Godfather and this and this. Yeah, but none of y'all is mobs. None of y'all is Italian. None of y'all. Stop it. Cut it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I love Adesanya, when they asked him like, yo, you're a big anime fan, what made you start watching it? I love his answer. The fight scenes. Yeah. That's what got me in it. Like the first, like one of the earliest animes I remember, I think, was Fist of the North Star. Hey. He punched the bomb and his head blew up. I was sold.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to say anything to Stylebender right now, then try your luck. So there's that. But yes, this is an incredibly crazy and good episode in episode 7. You know the deal, folks. We're here each and every week doing our reviews for Bel-Air. Jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. And as I said, we'll be back episode 8 with more coverage of Bel-Air. Thank you for watching.
Alrighty. Peace.
Big old bell.